What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing a 2-round mock draft. 2 rounds, 2 days full of trades. For this one, I am just like this past mock draft with no trades, going to be having Caleb Williams return to school. So it's just going to add a nice little toss up there. It's going to be making it a little bit, actually a lot different than what we normally do. So, if you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. Below my face is my board. Yes, I have been a big fan of Talise Fuaga for a long time. And as those of y'all who've been following the channel know, I've been saying just wait, he'll be in the first round. What can I say? I was a big fan of Talise from the beginning. Obviously, as long as people get on the hype train eventually, that's all that truly matters. But just very proud of the fact that, I always owe you guys honesty, and I'm always going to be honest when I see a player who I absolutely fell in love with. I'm just going to be on board with it until I'm proven otherwise. So regardless, below that are going to be the other links as well: Twitter, Instagram. I do have a TikTok in there as well, but that is TBD. And then, of course, our Underdog Fantasy sponsor of the show. Yes, they are always going to be the sponsor of the show. Feel free to use my code Hail Mary to be able to get a match of $10 up to $100 on your first deposit. It does help out your boy because every time y'all do it, sends me $50. Hallelujah, college student. Let's get right into this. Let's have some fun. Caleb Williams is returning. This is a live mock draft. So let's have some fun with it. Starting off with the number 1 overall selection, we are going to be trading this if we are the Chicago Bears because Drake Maye is here. Caleb Williams again, returning to school. That's going to be the fun part of this episode is, we are significantly reducing the top of the draft in terms of quarterback talent. So at the number 1 overall selection, what I want to do if I'm the Bears is give it to a failing franchise that wants a little bit of infusion of excitement. And I want to go to a franchise, especially not in the NFC. So that instantly cuts away the Giants. I don't want to face them in the NFC Championship. I want to face them in the Super Bowl or in the regular season. I don't want to have to face my mistake in case Drake Maye becomes a super god by, sending him to the Giants. I don't want to send him in division. And we could, of course, so the teams I'm really thinking about right here are the Broncos as well as the Patriots. I don't think Bill's one to give up multiple first-round picks. Nobody else is remotely within range. So I do think Bill will still inquire about the pick if Drake Maye is the quarterback that he wants to go with. However, I do know a team that might be very desperate and is willing to send first-round picks out and about for guys who can change their franchise. So we are going to be trading this to the Denver Broncos. Look at that, lo and behold. They do not have a second-round pick, RIP. But they do have players. We are, of course, going to be sending multiple picks. We will be sending the first, and I don't know if we'll send the second round pick of next year, but we'll send a future first round or maybe second round pick from 2026. I think one little player adding into it will be able to, push the deal through. Looking at the guys that the Bears could be looking for, I might want an edge rusher in here. Maybe some extra depth at defensive interior, for example. Y'all can do your negotiating yourselves. I'm just curious if we could just steal somebody right now because it's always a good feeling to do that. Pat Surtain obviously is the easy choice here, but for the time being, I'm gonna let y'all choose whoever the hell you want to choose from this. Let's just say it's Jerry Jeudy. This is 44% chance. Kiss my ass. Jerry Judy's not worth that much. It's going to be this. It's going to be the Denver Broncos first pick, the 2025 first pick, and maybe a 2026 second pick, as well as Jerry Jeudy, who they're probably going to get rid of anyway. Maybe they end up getting a 4th rounder in return. Do your own negotiating. Who cares? So we do that trading through. Of course, the only thing that affects the mock draft is first and second round picks. But the Broncos move up to the number 1 spot. The Russ project's just over. It is. It's not like he is the sole issue on the team. He's not the only issue. This team has a ton of talent. Let's not get that wrong. I think a new defensive coordinator can make this team a lot more competitive. But Russ is expensive. Keeping him is even more expensive. And more importantly, this team has holes that should fill with that money that Russ is not making up for with his play. So Drake Maye adds 5 years of cap flexibility, and he has similar, if not better, levels of playmaking. think it's better. But even as a floor, he's going to be as effective as Russell Wilson. You are not getting worse with this pick. Again, Caleb Williams is returning to school. I'm also saying that to remind myself. So I'm not just doing that because I don't think that y'all can hear that. Regardless, pick number 2. So I don't think any teams are going to be really pushing for this pick. So I'm not going to trade back with the Bears at this spot. We're going to get the surefire deal, which is Marvin Harrison Jr., superstar out of the Ohio State University, one of the best, if not the best wide receiver to come out of college. He's up there with the Randy Mosses of the world. Just spectacular talent all around. And he's clocked in at over 22 miles per hour, which is up there with the best of the best. He is unbelievable talent. You just can't miss on him. Maybe he's not going to turn out to be Jamar Chase, but he sure as hell could. And it's more likely than unlikely that he is as good, if not better, than Jamar Chase, which for the number 2 overall selection, 1 makes sense. But 2, it makes it worth it. So Marvin Harrison Jr. going to help out there with DJ Moore. Justin Fields going to have 1 more year to prove himself. And guess what? You have, in case the Broncos are an absolute dumpster fire, you have another future first-round pick from a team that is wanting to insert a quarterback into that system. At pick number 3 for the Bears, you could, of course, trade back here as well. Again, I don't see anybody except Olu Fashanu and Brock Bowers being worth trading up for, and I don't see enough need for multiple first-round picks to move up for either of these players, because I think the Bears also should be looking at Olu Fashanu. There's a lot of good edge rushers in this class. I do think that Bears fans, stay tuned, very well might trade up into the end of the first. So, of course, for the Bears fans who want to skip through, you might as well just check towards the middle/end of the video for that. But for me, I still think Braxton Jones is a solid offensive lineman. Solid offensive linemen don't cut it in the NFL at the blindside position. The ones who truly make a difference are going to be those stalwart protectors. That's going to be Olu Fashanu, who I think is on the verge of being generational, but I do think he is a blue chip left tackle, best left tackle in the class. He's just improved game over game. I'm a big fan of Olu Fashanu. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of him last year because I saw how much growth he had to have, and he's grown, and he's proven to me that he's going to work on himself and improve. And for me, I'm willing to bet on guys who bet on themselves and continue working on themselves far more than anything else. For me, that one trait is worth more than gold itself. Like, just being able to have that internal drive to continue working in the offseason and get better and better is something that's intangible for the NFL. And it's what makes guys even like Jalen Hurts, even though he had a poor performance this past week, like, it makes guys like that who don't have the best talent in the world, and Olu does have some of the best talent that you can find, it makes them separate themselves from the guys who understand the talent they have and just kick back on the Kool-Aid and appreciate and just accept the talent that they have. Regardless, at pick number 4, the Cardinals are sitting here, and I love going Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't see a corner being the selection of the next couple. Of course, I could see the Vikings trying to nab one because you could see QBs being in this range. But I do think, actually, as a matter of fact, because quarterbacks will be going in this range, we're going to have a small bidding war for pick number 4. And I just don't think Bill is very enticed with the idea of moving up for a QB for that much. But I do think a team that will probably not have Kirk Cousins will be very excited to move up. Now, again, I always say don't arm competitors, but this is not arming them with someone who could be generational. Again, I do really like Drake Maye. I haven't fully moved him up my board yet. I'm still waiting on more all-22 tape before I do that. He's actually already moved up from the all-22 that is out, but as time progresses, he's going to get better and better and better in terms of that all-22. Or if he doesn't, then it makes me feel even better for not moving him up. Regardless, I do believe he will continue to progress, but I am going to be moving up with the Vikings for this spot. I don't think it will take a future 1. I don't. That's a very pricely move up, but I do think that it will potentially take a future 2nd. Maybe you could snag a player in here as well. For example, the Cardinals could use some cornerback depth. This team is the wrong team to trade for a cornerback, if we're going to be honest here. Like, you could end up actually getting Andrew Booth and actually have him sit on your roster. You could, of course, have Budda Baker doesn't want to return. You could try to end up sneaking Lewis Cine out of there as well. Like, there's a lot of good options for this team, defensive interior. But actually, a really good guy would be potentially to go after not Patrick Jones. Patrick Jones is a good one to go after. But you could try to get Marcus Davenport's going to be off the roster too. He is on a 1-year deal. So I was trying to add in some more fun into this and just, add some extra value. Maybe you get Kenny Nwangwu or Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler is actually a really sneaky pickup. So we'll toss in Ty Chandler. Maybe we'll toss in a 4th round selection as well. But y'all have so many picks. So maybe we'll toss in Cleveland's 5th. I don't know. Well, you guys do your own negotiating. It will not affect this mock draft. I'm not going to send the 2nd rounder this year because I think the Vikings want to be able to surround their quarterback with a little bit more. And this quarterback is going to be Michael Penix. So if they waited at 7, there is a chance, of course, that they could have ended up, still with Michael Penix. But for the price of a 2nd round pick, Ty Chandler, and, some pennies, you end up getting a really solid quarterback that's an instant system fit and knows how to maximize the value of a good receiving core. That's exactly what you want, Michael Penix, and that's exactly what you're going to get. Pick number 5, again, Cardinals, you could have ended up trading for, even Cam Akers. I don't even know. Feel free to, again, do your own negotiating on that part. That won't affect this mock draft. Pick number 5, the Giants. I'm actually going to negotiate a trade here, but not in the way that you think. I am going to trade a player to a team. And I'm looking for teams that need a left tackle. I'm looking at Green Bay. Green Bay will need a left tackle. You could see the Rams as a team that would be open to it. You can see the Buccaneers potentially moving Tristan Wirfs back to right tackle. Chicago Bears would have been a very good option if they didn't take Olu Fashanu, but again, I think they need to secure the left tackle spot rather than, keep it up in the air. But it's really the Titans and the Packers that I'm the most committed to taking at the left tackle spot. And I've already done the Titans, and I'd like to usually take a guy for the Packers. So I'm actually having the Packers send the 109th pick, or it could be the 73rd. Again, Giants fans, do your own math here, to take Evan Neal. He is just not worked out at right tackle. This team needs a left tackle of the future, and they are going to send it through the Green Bay Packers. Send a 4th round pick for Evan Neal. The Giants are sitting here now, and they are going to get the best right tackle in the class. Could you move back and potentially get him? Yes. But the fact is, people are starting to catch up to where I've been on Talise Fuaga this whole time, and he is their right tackle number 1 in the class. And there really isn't one that legitimately competes with Talise at the moment. J.C. Latham has his own respective issues. Amarius has not been healthy. Tyler Guyton is still extremely raw. And besides that, Blake Fisher's had his struggles. Talise has not. He ended up dominating versus UCLA, allowing one pressure that most likely was due just to DJU. And that's awesome. That's against the Murphy brothers, who are NFL level, and also Leatu Latu, who's their number 6 player in the draft. So I'm going Talise Fuaga here. Yes, quarterback is not out of the picture, but securing that right tackle spot, no quarterback's going to be good with Evan Neal failing at right tackle. You go Talise Fuaga, and I'm going to start putting my stamp on the draft. Of course, this draft is based on a combination of my board and the consensus, just so you get an accurate representation of what a draft could be with my special twist on it. At pick number 6, I'm doing what I did in my past draft, and that's going Bo Nix out of Oregon. That game versus Michael Penix was god tier. I loved watching that game. That was spectacular. It felt like it was an all-time level game. Came down to the final moment. It was a good matchup between offenses and defenses there for Oregon and Washington respectively. And they both had one hell of a game. Both proved to be elite level quarterbacks. Bo Nix has taken step up after step up year after year. Glad to see it, because there was a while there at Auburn. Of course, that was during, I believe, the Hugh Freeze era, where not great at all. Definitely looked like a UDFA. But at pick number 7, you could be in the mood for Brock Bowers. At this point, it's not out of the question, but I am going to go again. I know that y'all say don't apologize for it, but it is same old Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. He's one of the best man corners in the class. He probably is the best man corner in the class. And he has some really good field instincts as well, good physicality. He works in defense. So Kool-Aid McKinstry it is. At pick number 8, we have the Titans. So unfortunately, y'all weren't able to trade for Evan Neal, but Joe Alt fell into your lap. So, woot woot. At pick number 9, we already secured a left tackle in Evan Neal via trade with the New York Giants. Now, we're sitting here. Love seeing Chop continue to move up the boards. He's continuing to move up mine as well. But looking at it, I mean, I would be pretty enticed to move the hell out of here. We have Brock Bowers on the board, and there needs to be some team that's willing to give up some capital for him. Of course, the few teams that really don't exactly need a Brock Bowers are within range, but I am looking at a team like Washington who could be in the mood for him. The Jets, they need a tackle for the long run, but you could, of course, sign a future option there. But if I'm Green Bay, the Bengals are sitting there. That's a good amount of draft capital. If I'm moving back for a safety, that's a good range to be in. You get good draft capital. Of course, you could also give it to the Chargers, who usually don't do as well as the Bengals in the offseason. Actually, let's do it. Let's change it up for the Chargers. Why not? I always do defensive interior for the Chargers. And I apologize for the fans who have been so loyal through that atrocious agony. But this will require a future second-round pick. Potentially a third-round pick in this one as well. Will not affect this mock draft, however, so y'all can do your own negotiating there. But I do think this is a very fair offer to move up to pick number 9. If you don't want to give a first-round pick in the future, this is what it may cost. So the Packers move back. The Chargers move up for arguably the best tight end talent of all time. And it's not just his receiving ability. He added 10 pounds and got better as a receiver, but he's an elite level blocker too. So he has added value in both run and pass game. Just a ridiculous level catching talent. And especially with Keenan Allen getting older, Mike Williams coming off an ACL tear, or I think it's an ACL tear, coming off a season-ending injury. This is something that will be a massive addition to the team. Him and Quentin Johnston are going to be the future there. At pick number 10, this is a spot where I'm debating moving out as well. We got top-tier receivers like Keon Coleman on the board. Of course, you can just wait and enjoy and reap the rewards, so to speak. I actually might move back up with Arizona here. But of course, defensive interior is where I really want to go with Arizona. So it doesn't really make sense to do that. We're going to stick in place. There's too many trades going on. We're going to stick in place and go Jared Verse out of Florida State. This team does need a future option at edge rusher. Don't really have it on the roster. They got Foskey last year, but Jared Verse is a little bit of a different beast. So Jared Verse, one of the most special edge rushing talents in terms of being a pass rusher that I've ever seen. So good for him. Well deserving of the number 10 overall selection. Number 11 for the Falcons. Shedeur Sanders is in play. I am going to be moving out of this spot. I do not think he is worth it. When looking at guys like Chop Robinson, Keon Coleman, Dallas Turner, there needs to be somebody who's willing to move up for one of them. I do know that one of the edge rushers will probably go with the next pick because they got rid of Myles Sanders. It's a topic for another day that really pisses me off, but it is what it is. There's also defensive interiors on the board, and I don't want to trade within division for this. I, unfortunately, for my Cardinals fans, am going to be trading with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are going to end up giving up probably a third-round pick. For this one, I feel like it's very similar value to what the Steelers did last year to the Jets with the Patriots. And so there you go. Third round pick sent through. This is going to be Jerzon Johnny Newton. You just need to get something right. It's going to be a new coaching staff. They're going to want to have a safe pick for their first pick. Most new regimes usually do. For example, you look at Derek Brown. He was a selection of a brand new franchise that came in. It's probably going to be a quarterback, or else it's going to be something safe. At pick number 12, so at this spot, defensive interior is still one of the biggest needs. I don't know if I trust Leonard Taylor. I don't know if I trust Leonard Taylor to be an elite run defender. I trust Chris Jenkins to do that, but I don't know if it's worth it at this point. And when I'm looking at all these teams that are going to be around this range, I don't feel like that's going to be a primary issue in terms of being able to grab him. And there's still one top corner on the board. So I'm seeing if there's any teams that could look for a corner. I mean, the Rams, I've always moved up with them because they are aggressive for a pass rusher. But instead, I got to find another team since it's Rams. But I want to find a team that is looking for a defensive interior. because I am scared shitless of the Seahawks. I can't move past the Seahawks, but I do want a team to move up for Kalen King. And of course, it could just be a quick swap right here. Kalen King would be a great addition to the Colts, but I want a team that wants a corner, and I can't arm my own division. Damn, this is tough. Um, I am going to make. I'm gonna have to move back up with the Cards because I know a team that I'm very excited to move up with, and they don't need that much. They don't. They need maybe a right tackle besides this, and a new offensive coordinator. Pittsburgh Steelers. We've been known to make big moves like this. And I remember it was actually this trade value to go from 20 to 10. So this is roughly the same value as that. The Steelers are moving up. Again, it's not a team that has a lot of holes. As the development process goes, we're going to continue developing them. We need a corner number 2. We need a right tackle. Sure, we need some interior offensive linemen. We've addressed that in free agency. Free agency exists. Kalen King, pairing him up with Joey Porter Jr., is exactly what you need for a long-term no-fly zone. It's one of the positions we've never locked down. Joey Porter looks like a stud. Kalen King's slightly worse, but has a different skill set that can complement him very, very well. This is exactly what the Steelers need to give them some momentum. And now we can actually move back up with the Cardinals with that draft capital we got. So that is a big plus. And of course, the Steelers end up jumping the Colts. The Colts are sitting here, and I think Cooper DeJean as just a versatile defensive back is going to be the way to go. So we go Cooper DeJean here. He's going to be instant impact on special teams as well. Just an overall really big game player. Pick number 14, we moved back. And again, Caleb Williams is not part of this mock draft. So for those of y'all who continue asking, quit it. We are going to be going after Shedeur Sanders here, taking Daddy Sanders' kid back to ATL. Shedeur is a great quarterback. You know, he has some leadership questions that I have for him, but, you know, the name brand, his athleticism, his ability as a quarterback, he's my number 5 quarterback coming into the year. Those aren't questioned. His leadership skills might be, but that is a story for another day. Pick number 15 for Washington. This is a spot where I actually might want to move out. Again, I do think that Washington does have some positions it should target, but, you know, I think you can get away with moving back and being happy. Wide receiver, again, you got Keon Coleman here. You got the Bengals lurking. Can a team move up and just snag Keon Coleman in front of the Bengals? So I'm looking at teams that would look for a Keon Coleman. Not seeing too many, if I'm just going to be completely blunt. I don't really see too many. So I could see a team like the Texans trying to like make a push for a wide receiver here. But you know, maybe this is not a spot for Keon Coleman. Maybe this is a spot for Arizona to move back up. Because for me, I want to go after an edge rusher, and this class is super deep with them. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to move back up with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to want to snag this pick here. So we're going to send Pittsburgh's 3rd round pick. Essentially, we're netting a future 2nd round pick. Maybe we send like a future 3rd. So we end up moving up essentially to get the same player I was going to draft at that spot. So that's defensive interior Chris Jenkins. You need a run defender. Lucky Potu's butt cheeks. There we go. Pick number 16. So this is going to be an offensive tackle. There's still some very good ones on the board. For me, luckily, they actually are the right tackle positions. J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims. I think Mims overall is a better talent, but he needs more development and needs to stay healthy. J.C. Latham is going to be probably the guy who gets drafted higher. So, again, it's kind of lazy to say that, you know, the more athletic guy from Alabama is going to get drafted higher, but it is. It's the truth. Pick number 17, this is Keon Coleman. I'm going to suggest, based on the amount of money that would have to be tied up in that receiver room to bring back T. Higgins on that 25-plus year contract, and then Jamar Chase on that 30-plus year contract, and then Joe Burrow on his contract. Too expensive. Why not save a ton of money by getting Keon Coleman here? It's the right thing to do. At pick number 18, this is going to be a top-tier pick for a safety. Could look at edge rusher, but I don't think they're going to. Defensive interior, I do think, is not out of the question. I don't know if y'all are going to give up that early, though, on, I'm forgetting his name, defensive interior out of Georgia that y'all drafted. just about a year and a half ago. We're going to go Cameron Kitchens, though. One of the best ball hawking safeties in college. He's just a very, very talented player. I'll scroll down so y'all get to see a little bit more of my board. At pick number 19, the LA Rams. Like, y'all are sitting here and you still get Dallas Turner, Chop Robinson, etc. Dallas Turner has been the best edge rusher in college this year in terms of the amount of pressures he's been getting, and he's been doing it against very solid teams. So, respect to him. He's my number one edge rusher, has been, continues to be, and continued to will be. So, pick number 20. I am really heavily leaning on Mecca Abuka at this point, just because of the fact you get that Ohio State connection. I think he complements that receiving core very well as well. You know, he could be a little bit Nico's Collinsy for the size and aggressiveness and the ability to get open over the middle. Malik Neighbors is a better complement, but looking at it, you still have Leonard Taylor here, and you got to take it. You got to take it when you can. So Leonard Taylor is the selection. At pick number 21, unfortunately, all the defensive interiors are off the board. You could end up going after a wide receiver here. As insane as it sounds, there is a potential option for that. With Amarius Mims on the board, I do see some teams that could be looking for a right tackle that could really benefit from Amarius being on their team. The Bills are one of them. The Buccaneers are another, and it's a big drop-off to the next right tackle. Looking at other teams that could be really in the mood for a right tackle, I'm seeing the Niners here, but again, I don't want to arm my own division rival. The Eagles, I'm obviously not going to arm somebody who I'd be playing in the playoffs. So looking at it, the only team I'd really be open to are probably these two. I wouldn't be too afraid of the Buccaneers. So for that reason, we are going to make a trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There we go. So this is a shorter range trade. I do think that the Buccaneers kind of value their picks this year. So we'll send a future third through. Again, I'm not going to send the second from this year, so do your own negotiating. We are going to select Amarius Mims, right tackle out of Georgia. He'll probably return if he is going to get, you're not going to be selected within the top 15 picks, top 20. He very well might return because his talent level really is that good. But regardless, Amarius Mims ends up being the selection at pick number 22. So, the Cowboys, I've been going left tackle for y'all for a hot minute. I think I really want to change it up. Like, Denzel Burke's been playing better. Obviously, he increased 30 spots on PFF's board. So, respectively speaking, he has been performing at a much better rate. You do have Denzel Burke and Dwight McLaughlin available. There are some good corners in round number 2 as well. But I think we're going to go Denzel Burke. He's been performing better. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a beast. And, I have full faith in him. Pick number 23 for Washington. I could have been a dick for the Cowboys and then taken away Kingsley Suamataia, but don't really need to. There's going to be a lot of really good edge rushers in round 2 as well. So I'm going to go after the offensive tackle in this round that maybe the Cowboys could have taken, but I always take them for the Cowboys. It's a nice little change of pace. Pick number 24 would have been a good pick for the Bills, but for me, with a Mecca Abuka on the board, this is ridiculous. We're going to take him. I mean, y'all see how high a Mecca is on my board. I really do love him. There's no shade thrown at all to Mecca Abuka. He should be going way earlier. It's just some teams don't have, wide receiver is so deep in this class. Same thing with edge rusher. It's why I haven't taken Chop. I love Chop Robinson. Haven't taken him. Not many teams need edge rushers as well. But at pick number 25, this is going to be my standard pick for y'all. Mason Smith. Just the upside alone is ridiculous. He has features of Jalen Carter. I think he needs to get a little bit more comfortable at his 315 weight. He's still coming back from an ACL tear, but the flashes are certainly there, and I think they're getting more and more consistent, which is a very good sign. Pick number 26. Still elite receivers on the board. This team could honestly use one. And I actually really like Malik Neighbors. There's a very good chance that you don't even have Calvin Ridley on this squad. So Malik Neighbors with that speed and after the catch ability. He's not an elite route runner, so I would put him in a Zay Jones role rather than a Calvin Ridley role. But he's going to be an asset nonetheless. Pick number 27, this is going to be Dwight McLaughlin. Of course, they add a billion players, but don't add Dwight McLaughlin. So y'all can kiss my ass. Max Melton, you will continue to get love from me by getting drafted here. But he's a placeholder for My number 24 player on my board, Dwight McLaughlin for the Lions. Still debating going after an offensive lineman here, but this offensive line class super duper deep. Same thing with the wide receiver class, but Romo Dunze is getting a ton of hype. Again, I blend my board with realism. Still waiting on more Romo Dunze tape, but he's been playing phenomenally, and I got some positive feedback from y'all. It's why I do the no trades mock drafts as well. I like to test out some really cool things and get your feedback. So when these mock drafts come in, I really have even more information on who I should draft. But Romo Dunze, getting a wide receiver 1 in X build is so key, and it's such a good compliment to the guys that y'all have. So Romo Dunze would be a very good addition here. Pick number 29. So this is a spot where I'm trading out of. I just don't like drafting for the Dolphins, if I'm going to be completely blunt. And this is where I will trade up with the Chicago Bears. There's elite level edge rushers on the board. And, maybe I'd value, like, looking at it, y'all don't have shit for draft capital. I'm going to send Philly's pick here. Maybe y'all, like, steal, like, a future 6th or 7th round pick. Again, y'all can do your own negotiating there. But the Bears are trading up here. And y'all have the option of Chop Robinson or Braylon Trice. Depends on what style of edge rusher you want. I think Chop fits what y'all have been going after in free agency, that like 250 plus pound build, rather than the 270. So Chop Robinson, excellent value there. At pick number 30 for the Niners, let's take quick stock of who is still on the board. You got my number 5 player in the draft, Johnny Wilson. Again, I'm a full believer in Johnny. Got to see him in person in high school because he was one of our rivals. Like, definitely a big fan of him. Troy Franklin as well. Big fans of them. Looking at the guys who are still available on my board, Christian Haynes. I do think that's a very Niners pick. You could pick an elite offensive lineman here, but I don't know if he goes in the first round. I do have Joe Milton here. Again, I say this in all my mock drafts. That's TBD, waiting on more all 22, but I am a big fan of Joe Milton. Again, I blend my board with realism. I know that nobody's really going to want to take him here. Bo Limmer, for example, really good option. I'm willing to stick my flag in the sand for a lot of these guys. Looking at the DBs available, primarily the corners, I just don't think the value's there for me. And I think a trade back wouldn't be a bad idea here. You still have some really good QBs on the board. Quinn Ewers. Again, Joe Milton, I think, will continue to ascend. JJ McCarthy. And looking at teams like, for example, right here with the Saints, this is a team that could totally use a guy like Quinn Ewers, who could be a game manager and, really kick some ass. Joe Milton, for example, could be a big asset for this franchise. And I'm looking at a team like New York here. And New York doesn't need that many things. This could be a good spot for them. They just acquired a 4th round pick as well. And I don't think the Niners are afraid. I don't think they're afraid at all of the New York Giants. So we are going to send the 37th pick. And looking at all the billion picks that y'all have, y'all are going to take maybe a future 4th, maybe a future 3rd. Who knows? Y'all can, again, do your own negotiating. And we're going to send this to the San Francisco 40, or we're going to send this to the New York Giants to take a quarterback. JJ McCarthy versus Quinn Ewers versus Joe Milton is the real debate here. And it's a 5th-year contract, so maybe it is that future 3rd-round pick. So, again, do your own negotiating. For me, I love Joe Milton the best out of the 3. Regardless, JJ McCarthy really fits this offense very well. Quinn Ewers can as well, but I think he needs to be a little bit more in rhythm. I love Joe Milton. I do. And the fact he can throw over 90 yards, I think his issues can be fixed very easily with mechanical issues. And he's someone I really believe in. You pair him up with Jalen Hyatt as well. Even though they didn't play really like starting wise a lot together, he still has the arm to be able to maximize Jalen Hyatt. And they have been in the same locker room on the same field last year. So you get that instant chemistry as well. Pick number 31 for the Chiefs. So Johnny Wilson's probably going to be my guy here. Again, I'm falling in love with this idea. The fact that if he doesn't have the ability to separate as a pure wide receiver, you can use him as a tight end. That is just golden to me. I'm sorry to be a little bit bland and boring with that, but I really love it. And at this pick with the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, Braylon Trice is going to be the pick, or Leatu Latu could be the pick. I'm not over the moon about Leatu. He didn't dominate my number 3 player in the draft, which, again, for me, makes sense. But Like, he wasn't a dominant force. I don't think there's a good enough corner on the board. You could look at safety, but this class is deep at safety. Like, wide receiver. Um, I mean, they're looking for more of the route runner type. So I honestly think Troy Franklin could be a really good addition here. So for me, it's down pretty much to Troy Franklin. And then who's here at right tackle? Tyler Guyton actually is perfect. He's the perfect developmental right tackle behind Lane Johnson. So that is going to be the video. Stay tuned for round number 2 tomorrow. Thank you always. See you on the far side.